Doctors, are you thinking about moving your practice? Hi, everybody. Welcome to the KC CHIROpulse Podcast, brought to you by CATS Consultants and Chiro Health USA. I'm your host, Dr. Michael Perusich, and I'm joined by my guest host today, my good friend, Dr. Kelly Fredricks.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Kelly. I can hear the crowd roaring in the background. Anyway, so Kelly, you and I both have gone through practice moves. I've done it several times. You just recently had a move.
Fresh off the move. Yes.
You're like fresh off the moving truck, really.
45 days off the move. Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. And by the way, your new clinic is absolutely gorgeous. Love
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Thank
I've had the opportunity to go visit. So
It's
just
been
so
a long
everybody
time.
knows, Kelly and I live in the same area of Florida. So we have the pleasure of getting to see each other often. And she takes care of my family too. So I thought today, I think it'd be interesting to just talk about the pros, and unfortunately there's some cons to moving. And I know when we moved, for example, one of the reasons why we moved was because we had just flat outgrown our space. We were just cram packed into 1,400 square feet. I don't even think it was really 1,400 square feet. It was supposed to be, but I don't think it was. And we moved to 6,000 square feet and even outgrew that place after a while, but that's neither here nor there. But we did it to just upgrade our location, upgrade our facilities, and just get into more space. And you did the same. You've definitely upgraded your space and moved, but you also had another interesting issue. You had a building that was no longer going to be a building.
Yes. So we had actually been in this building for 17 years. And thankfully, we knew what was coming in the future in regards to the landlord, unfortunately passing away, but we knew that his family was then going to want to sell the building. So luckily, I had a long time to prepare for this, but I learned so much along the way. So they were getting ready to sell the building. In the midst of them getting ready to sell the building, they took the street and closed off the street in front of my office because they were building a park. Yeah. So we had no parking. It was a nightmare. So for us to move and we have 2 parking lots now, which is a godsend. So it's really nice to be in a new, fresh location. Our patients are loving it. But there was a lot going on that really became challenging to run a clinic and stay focused and then also try and move at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know one of the reasons why doctors sometimes move is to increase their visibility, but I want to talk a little bit about visibility because the clinic we were first in was on the backside of an office building. You couldn't really see it from the street. And the building we moved to was on the backside of a shopping center. And you couldn't really see it. And you're on the second floor of an office building. So neither one of us really had any of this traditional frontage visibility that a lot of docs look for or have. And I guess my point to that is we still had very thriving practices. Mm-hmm. And so it just points out the fact that people come to you because you've built a relationship with them.
Exactly, 100%. And we're also not looking for that walk-in crowd either. Right. So I don't feel like it was that important to be visible. And also when it comes to the economics of moving, I was not originally looking for second floor, but then when I started looking at prices and how much it was rent per square foot, then I realized once you go second floor, you actually save quite a bit of money. We just started running numbers and you and I figured out that this was going to be the best place. And it's people are coming to us from word of mouth anyways, so they don't need to see us on the big busy roads. And also we see families, and I don't necessarily want my moms getting out of the car with the strollers on big busy streets and busy parking. Right. So those were a lot of things that we had to work out though ahead of time in regards to what do you want your clinic to look like, visualizing everything, putting it up on a board. Where do you want your parking lot to be? How many rooms do you want? Like you have to have all of that ready to go in your mind and know exactly what you're looking for. So when you're out looking for that space, you can either say this fits the criteria or it does not fit the criteria at all. And then you can move on to the next one.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very good point. I want to explore this whole second floor idea a little bit because I talk to doctors all the time who are looking for space and everybody's just dead set on that frontage real estate space And I get it. If you're just starting out in practice, that kind of visibility might be important. However, we also know many practices that are tucked away in office buildings like you on the second floor. Our good friend Patrick, very thriving practice, known in the entire city pretty much, and it's a big city. He's on the second floor as well. So it's not necessarily what floor you're on or what visibility you have. I think it has more to do with, besides having built relationships with people, it has more to do with access. So getting into your clinic is incredibly easy. Great parking, easy building access. You've got an elevator if that's needed, and it's just right around the corner from your door.
Exactly.
Your hallways are wide, your door openings are wide. Those are really, I think, some of the things that are more important. And your office flow is fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. I always had in my vision, I want them to be able to get out of the car and walk right into the office. And again, when you start looking at things, then you realize that you have to change some things up a little bit. But yeah, access to all of those things is very important, because I didn't want to get a giant parking lot and have them walking, especially in Florida. It rains here all the time. It's like you want to getting out of the car, walking super far, and then also having to go up to the second floor. You got to look at those things and think, be the patient, put yourself in their shoes. When they're pulling in, is it easy to get there? Are they fighting traffic? Is it a lot of turns? Is it confusing? And the accessibility into the clinic. And second floor, we're loving it. I feel like it's a lot safer. It's quieter. I've got great views. So
I do.
It's been great. We're loving it.
Yeah. So I think access is, especially been in practice for a while, I think access is one of the most important things. Just make sure that your clinic has access, and make sure that so you brought up a good point. I'm just trying to figure out how to get into this a little bit, but you brought up a good point about the cost of space. And so you save on by going to the second floor as opposed to the first floor. Well, a lot of us are thinking we have patients who can barely walk sometimes, and so on and so forth. And while that's true, and first floor access might be simpler in some realms, your access is just as easy for anybody that's somewhat disabled and has difficulty getting into your clinic or into an office building, because you've got wide door access, you've got the elevators and so forth. Being able to save costs allows you to then turn around and drive that money towards other things.
Exactly.
Having a larger space. It could be having a space where you can have more profit centers running, add some doctors, add some other therapies and those kind of things, revenue generating things. I cannot talk today. Wow. I think I've been talking too much. And then being able to even divert costs into marketing and those kind of things. Now you're in this great new office. Let's increase our capacity a little bit. Let's increase our number of new patients.
Exactly.
Do a lot.
Yeah, it was significant. It was actually $6 a square foot difference to go up to the second floor. So like you said, that bought me more space. That also allowed me to be a little more creative with the build out. And it also allowed me better negotiating power too. I was able to really find something that I knew I was going to be able to grow into long term. Trust me, once you move, you don't want to do it again or for a very long time. I felt like it just really was the best situation. And it wasn't anything that I was looking at in the beginning. So keep your options open and your mind open to new opportunities.
Yeah. And don't be in a rush.
Don't be in a rush. Yeah. It took me 18 months to find this space because I just was not going to settle. I had all those specifics that I wanted, and it needed to tick all the boxes. And so it took me 18 months, and I thought we were never going to find anything. And then finally the right one came to us. So
the right one's always the last one. So
you got to look at a lot that you don't like, and then you realize what you really want.
Yeah. And I found too, that you have to tell a lot of people that you're wanting to move.
Yes.
Because that somehow starts opening up doors, because they know somebody, and this person knows somebody who knows this person whose brother-in-law's cousin owns the building, and we'll give you a great deal because we haven't been able to rent this space out. That's what happened to us. We looked for over 2 years, and I'd finally decided, you know what, I'm just going to buy some land and build a building. And I happened to be talking to a local attorney one day, And he said, hey, I own this building over here, blah, blah, blah. And why don't you come take a look at it? And it wound up being the perfect spot for us. So keeping those options open, to use your, and continuing to look, and don't give up until you find the right space. Don't find a space that just works.
Exactly.
Find the right space.
Yeah. And don't get into something that's not going to be a good contract. Don't get into something that is going to put you in the hole financially. Make sure it's the right deal at the right time.
So let's talk about that. The right space is one that fits your needs from a layout standpoint. It fits the capacity you're looking for or need. It fits the patient flow. It allows easy access. It's affordable. So we don't want to set a budget based on what we're going to do in 5 years with expected growth. We want to be able to afford it today.
Yep.
And then along with affordability, and you and I know this all too well, along with affordability comes what? It comes overrun of costs.
Yeah.
It's always more expensive than you budget for. So make sure you budget that probably 25% contingency in there.
Well, absolutely. And make sure you have your reserves ready to go. Again, thankfully, we knew we were moving in the long future. So I was setting money aside every single month for the move budget. And I am so grateful that I did, because everything's always more expensive. Like you said, you have to be ready for that. You definitely want extra months in reserve. You want to make sure that you're covering the moving truck, the new furniture. There's so many expenses that are involved. So you want to make sure that you're ready for that.
Yeah, and it's crazy. And even if you're building out space, there's always things that you get into. We're actually building out a clinic right now, and we're getting into some cost overruns from our expected budget just because of some of the stuff that we're running into and some of the increased prices on equipment that we're seeing today. And so you've got to have that contingency built in there, because I'm telling you, it's always going to cost more than you think it is.
Yes. Yep. Always going to cost more, and it's always going to take longer.
Yeah, exactly. So that's another contingency that have to happen. Here's the crazy thing. I didn't know trash cans for bathrooms, commercial trash cans, were so expensive.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Okay.
Yeah, who knew a trash can had to cost $500? Seriously, come on. Then the other thing is that I think you have to think about is, okay, we've got to tell our patients. We've got to get our patients prepared for a new location. Some of them are going to have to drive further. And you're going to hear some crazy stuff from people. You're going to hear some stuff like, oh, I can't wait for you to move. Your office that you're in right now is terrible.
Yes.
You're going to hear, oh my gosh, why would you ever leave this office? It's so perfect.
Yeah.
I had 3 or 4 patients. We only moved like 3 blocks. I had 3 or 4 patients tell me it was too far.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. You're going to hear all kinds of things from people that you sometimes won't expect it from. The first week we were here in the new office, everybody's so excited. We're giving everybody tours, and the reception area was full. And this lady walks in front of everybody, she goes, "Why would you want to move here?" Oh my gosh. So I had to put that fire out like immediately.
Oh yeah, you'll hear all kinds of things. So we've got to prepare patients. We got to make sure they understand when we're moving, what that means. You're going to be closed down for a few days to get moved over and get set up. So we got to prepare patients. And then the other thing is we've got to prepare our staff. And so we need to take them over and let them see the space and feel the space and find the energy in the space and walk through, how's it going to be laid out and how is patient flow going to happen? How are we going to work this? Because when you move, especially if you move from a small clinic to a bigger clinic, it throws everything off.
It does. And it causes a lot of stress for them that I guess I wasn't really anticipating. So you're exactly right. Until they could get up here and see what was happening and exactly like you said, what the flow was going to be, they had a lot of stress and anxiety. And so we put them all in the car and we came up and together as a group, we brainstormed. Everybody got excited. They're like, oh, I see this happening. And how about this? And how about this? And as soon as they got involved in the process, it made all the difference. It really did. And then they got even more excited. And then they were talking about patients. So you have to include them. They're a huge part of the decision process.
They're due. And they are. humongous in that process. And the ideas and things that they come up with are phenomenal.
Yeah.
So when we started construction, we began having our weekly staff meetings over at the construction site.
Yeah.
And we would just walk through, and they got a chance that way to see it all coming together and see what my vision was of the clinic.
Yep.
And they started blocking out patient flow and how we were going to arrange the lobby and the hot seats and everything. And so when we moved in, we were just like ants on fire. Yeah. Everybody just knew exactly what to do. And the day we opened, boom, everything was running smoothly. At least it looked that way to patients.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And that helped eliminate a lot of that stress. But the ideas that came out during that time were phenomenal of how we were going to use the space.
Yep. Yeah. And also what kind of new things that you need in those spaces, because the rooms are going to be totally different than what you had before. You're probably going to need different furniture. You're going to need a lot of things. And so when you've got multiple eyes looking at the clinic and looking at your needs, it really helps to come together and make easier decisions. And also it's their livelihood too. It's their new commute. It's where are they going to eat lunch now? What are the restaurants? Like it's a big deal for everybody. So you really need to have everybody involved.
Yeah, it is a big deal.
They're home too.
What's that?
They're home too.
It is their home too. Yeah. Yeah. And if it's a further drive for them, that's adding stress to them. That's adding costs of being able to work for you. So we have to put all those pieces together and help them through those things. So it's not just an effect on our patients, it's an effect on everybody that's involved with the clinic. Mm-hmm. So here's my recommendation, and Kelly, chime in here, but if you're thinking about moving, start a list. What are your needs? Make a needs list. What do you need in the new place, and how is it going to be different than where you're at now? Number one. But most importantly, get with somebody who's been through the process. Find a mentor or a coach like us or something, and let that experience help guide you. Because if you've never moved a chiropractic clinic, it can be just a little tricky getting all the little pieces in a row, especially if you have equipment like an x-ray machine or something, just lining up the logistics of getting everything done on time and in order can be difficult. So seek out somebody who can help you through that process.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. Yeah, we have multiple decompression tables, very expensive equipment. So there's a lot involved to that, and getting that timing down and figuring out when are you going to close and how long are you going to be closed and when is the furniture moving. There's a lot of things to do.
And make sure with your movers, if you're using commercial movers, make sure that you monitor how they're treating your equipment. So if they've never moved to healthcare equipment before, they may not know that you shouldn't pick up a flexion distraction table from the end of the table.
Yeah.
That it needs to be put on a furniture dolly and moved the right way. Little things like that can really make your move just a little bit smoother. There's going to be some hiccups, but you want to try to make it as smooth as possible.
Yes, exactly. You want to be as prepared as you possibly can.
Yeah, exactly. So, Kelly, any other thoughts? I thought this was a great discussion.
No, I've got to say, if you're thinking about it, it's scary, but it is so worth it. Get excited about it. And I felt like the most important thing is exactly what you just said. Put it all down, sit down, visualize what you want, and put it all down on a vision board, because you would be surprised at what that vision board looks like and what your clinic looks like in the end. They're very close.
Well said. All right, everybody, make sure that you subscribe to our podcast. Our podcast is growing like crazy. I was looking at the numbers the other day, and I was beside myself, because that's a great honor for us that you guys are listening in each and every week. And be sure to tell your friends about it. If you haven't done so yet, go to katzconsultants.com and see all the great things that we're doing to help doctors live the practice of their dreams and have profitable practices. There's no reason in today's chiropractic world that you shouldn't have a profitable practice. So give us a call. Let us talk to you about how we might be able to help you as well. So on behalf of all of us here at Katz Consultants and at ChiroHealth USA, thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, everybody.
In today's economy, every dollar counts. Families are facing tough choices, having to reconsider what was once essential to them. But when it comes to healthcare, no one should have to compromise on their well-being because of financial constraints. That's where ChiroHealth USA steps in, the solution for your practice. We understand the financial pressures families are under, whether they're insured, on Medicare, or paying out of pocket for treatment. By offering discounts on care, you can ensure that your patients can still afford the treatment they need. At ChiroHealth USA, we're committed to making sure no family has to sacrifice their health due to financial hardship. We'll work with you to create a game plan that keeps your waiting room full and your practice thriving. And here's the best part. Offering affordable care not only benefits your patients, but also positively impacts your bottom line. So why wait? Join ChiroHealth USA today and join the ranks of the most successful practices. Because when you put your patients first, everyone wins.
Pat's Chiropractic Consultants, your partner in chiropractic success. We are dedicated with one-on-one guidance to bring you all your practice management needs. Let's supercharge your practice. Give us a call today.